Do you want to explore the Fey wilderness and solve fun puzzles? Do you want to play through Night of the Living Dead at your table? Do you want to be shrunk down to minuscule size to stop the threat of a fungal blight known as Bleaksprout? Well, if you answered yes to any of these questions, we've got books to make all of these things happen for you, and it's all in the latest episode of D&D New Releases, so let's get it started. Hi, it's Splinterverse. Welcome to another episode of D&D New Releases, where we offer first impressions of new third-party products for Dungeons & Dragons. We cover a selection of titles from Dungeon Masters Guild and DriveThruRPG each week. The titles are presented in alphabetical order, and all of them are linked in the video description. Purchasing the books using those links helps the channel, but you can also support us by purchasing one of our best-selling books. Our newest release, Dragonlance Companion, offers 180 pages for players and DMs to bring the magical world of Krynn to life. And like many of our books, it's available in hardcover and digital format. Our Swarms of the Multiverse offers over 70 brand new creatures, including their associated swarms, instructions on how to make your own balanced swarms, and lots of bonus materials such as 4 new demiplanes. Our Feywild Companion offers 150 pages of Feywild fun for players and DMs alike. Also, our book, Fizban's Vault of Draconic Secrets, contains over 50 pages of dragon-themed player options, including a subclass for each class and much more. We've got lineages suitable for any setting, as well as optional lineage rules in our Van Richten's Librum of Lineages. With our Potions Unlocked book, we have over 100 pages of material to take potions to the next level in your game. Please support the channel by purchasing our books using the links in the video description. First, we have Apocalypse, the complete Game Master's Guide to Ending the World from Alan Tucker, and it's $24.95 for the PDF, which is 102 pages, or you can get a hardcover standard color for $39.95, or both of those for $47.45, and it's basically all about the apocalypse. It says, who doesn't love a good apocalypse in their tabletop role-playing game? For the Game Master, though, creating and running one can be daunting. That's why they published this book. They brought together a host of the industry's top creators and game masters to give you their best advice on ending your world. In addition, they have 17 game scenarios spanning all genres and built for adaptation to nearly any tabletop role-playing system you want to run. And I'm excited for this because the apocalypse is really fun to think about in terms of storytelling. You know, there's so many post-apocalyptic movies, so whether you want to do like a Walking Dead situation or some other, cataclysmic event that affects your characters, and it can be any genre, fantasy, sci-fi, historical, whatever you want to make it. And the beauty of this book is that it's system neutral. So wherever you want to place your apocalypse, this has got advice for you. And you can see it's beautifully laid out here with some really fun pictures and artwork to enjoy. Let's look inside. So it gives you GM advice like framing the apocalyptic campaign, the stakes of an apocalypse, adding moments of humor, answering the inevitable, the importance of hope, and a bunch of other sort of essays giving you advice. And then you've got scenarios here, the anomalous lands, all the way down to world within, world without. And most of these titles, they just sound so interesting. It makes you want to read those and find out what these scenarios are all about. So this, look at this artwork too. I love this exploding planet here. And it says, we had 2 main goals in creating this book. First was to provide you with some amazing adventures to run at your table, which dealt with ending worlds in new ways. And then second, we felt it was critically important to do something more, offer game masters tangible, actionable advice on how to run their games, specifically those who are looking to run an apocalyptic story or campaign. So, and that's the beauty of Dungeons and Dragons and many tabletop role-playing games, is it's up to you what you use from this book. And but I appreciate that they're giving you so much advice from people that are experienced. So if you are concerned, or you just are like struggling to come up with something new, or maybe you have a half idea And books like this are great when you have just like part of an idea or a little bit of an idea, because you start reading through it and then before you know it, your idea is just fully fleshed out. So very, very fun. Let's see, we're going to scroll through here so you can see a little bit of it, and we will read a little more. I want to find a good part to read. So yeah, Moments of Humor, that sounds fun, by Amy Vorpal. It says, it's the end of the world, but that doesn't mean it can't be funny. While you're coming up with new tortures to inflict upon your player's psyche, I've got a tip that will help them with their abs. I'm talking about making your players laugh. Usually players will have no trouble creating inside jokes and ridiculous puns, but why not help them along in the darker games? Regardless of the gaming systems or worlds, my first priority when planning a session is fun. After planning the playground of geography, bad guys, monsters, and their motivations, my very next question is, how can I stinker it up? I'm aware that players are usually already 5 steps ahead of me on this one, but I like planting seeds for humor. In an apocalyptic world, the path of least resistance is playing with the stakes. Zombies, disease, the rapture, whatever the cause for the end of the world, the stakes for the characters will be high at every moment, for every task. So the goal is to subvert the stakes in one instance in the game. I like to tack on an additional sauce for flavor tasks, courtesy of an NPC or in some cases a player character. In the real world, this opportunity or task would be significantly less dire than necessary survival, but in this world, I would treat it as equally dire and reward the accomplishment with the same level of gravitas. For instance, an NPC could complain that her life would be better if she had silverware. The plasticware is hurting her lips, and the community keeps sharpening spoons into shivs. Or I'd make a player character's shoelaces keep coming untied. After all, they've been using twine this whole time, adding a die roll complication each time they attempted a physical feat. Or an NPC could broach the question, shouldn't we have a designated spot to go to the bathroom at camp? Then the quest for spoons, shoelaces, and a safe space to answer nature's call is on. So this is so true, right? Sometimes something mundane in the real world or a typical stable non-apocalyptic fantasy setting is nothing. It's just mundane, right? But then you get this apocalypse going on, and it's like just even finding a place to use the restroom or silverware or shoelaces is just mission number one. It's critical because every time you're trying to jump or do something, you're falling down because your shoelaces, and you're not eating very well because the silverware is just, it's just obnoxious. And so it's quality of life stuff. And so there'll be tons of jokes when the NPC says, this is urgent, you've got to go find, shoelaces or whatever, and they're going to be like, are you serious? Shoelaces? But that's just it. An apocalypse gives you that opportunity, whereas you might not have had that. So that's a fun article, and I just read part of it. And this book is filled with those kinds of things. So answering the inevitable. It says, is there an after? This is a good first question to answer when using an inevitable apocalypse. A deadly plague may wipe the earth clean, but animals and those immune survive. A select few may avoid an endless winter in a reinforced cave. A few desperate refugees may save themselves aboard an ark or by passing through a briefly summoned portal to another world. So yeah, if you're going to have an apocalypse, you really need to think about, can the players stop it if you're starting pre-apocalypse? And then what is post-apocalypse? Is everything gone? And in between those, is the apocalypse, what's it going to be? What kind of thing is going to happen? Is it going to be a plague? Is it going to be, explosions? Like we saw that exploding planet. So many questions to ask and just sort of trigger your mind. And especially with books like this, you're not locked into anything. I mean, you can create your own situation. They're not spoon feeding it to you. Yes, they're giving you some scenarios in here. And you can follow those and stick to those to a T, but I think they're really helping you help yourself here, which is what I love most when I look through these books, is when a book can just keep giving you the tips, tricks, tools that you need to create your own things, even potentially your own books. So whether they be novels or games, right? So I think you got to get this. It's under Apocalypse in the video description links. Give it a click. Next, we have Ascension of the Faceless King, which is an adventure for characters levels 3 to 5. And it's by 𝘏𝙗 𝙤𝙤. And it says, in the mountains east of Vidalia, a necromantic cult has acquired the remains of Cetrius II, a vile king, recently dethroned and murdered by his subjects. As the Archdiocese of Worms attempts to transform the fallen king into a force of darkness heretofore unseen in the mortal realm, the beneficent order of 𝘏𝙗 𝙤𝙤 calls on you to come to the aid of the common folk, locate the dangerous cult, and prevent the ascension of the faceless king. Honor and glory await, if you live. So this is a cool sounding adventure, and I love the look of this. It reminds me very much of first edition materials from TSR, and it is for 5th edition. So you get this first edition feel for 5th edition, which is really, really cool. And so it says it's an immersive story-driven adventure with GM-friendly setting details, new magical items and lore, inspired by the album The Faceless King, a full village to explore populated with colorful characters and counter tables, and a new monster called the Undead Amalgamation. So very, very cool. And I just love the look of this with the line art and all of that. I mean, it just takes me back. And here, right away, I mean, looking at the sample, you get this really cool map of Ketten Jarl, and yeah, you can see all these different locations, village of Vidalia, Calignius Forest, I think that is. So yeah, fun map there. And I mean, even the font in here is very first edition, so fun. All these cool boxes to read to your players. We'll read some of those in a minute, but I'm just scrolling so you can see how cool this book is. And here's an rumor table. The first one is, the wizard and alchemist are allied with a mysterious and ancient order. They're not to be trusted. That's a good rumor. Another one, yonder stable hand claims she heard strange noises coming from the old mill recently. I love rumor tables. I could read those all day. And the thing is whenever you run a module with those and you don't use them all, you can copy paste those out and use them for a new adventure. You know, some of them are very specific to the adventure, but you know, that one I read about from the old mill, I mean, there could be another town with an old mill, right? So really easy to twist any unused material into something new, which I love. So yeah, you can see beautiful line art. That looks really cool, kind of psychedelic. So yeah, I'm going to read some of these. Let me scroll up and read some of the early read aloud text boxes, because I don't want to ruin it too much as far as spoiling. So it says, harsh winds whistle through parapets hewn from the stone above the entrance. The parapets appear intentionally crafted to harness the air currents, producing harmonic drones that permeate the space just outside its walls. The hum resonates ominously. The deep bellow of a horn sounds, reverberating past the party's innards like a great specter passing through them. The large doors slowly creak open. A bearded halfling emerges. He is cloaked and carries a walking stick, toppled with an intricately carved hummingbird. Thank the frequencies, you've come. He beckons you inside. So yeah, that was really well written. I mean, a lot of these flavor text boxes aren't so flavorful, and I like this one. I think it is really, really, really creative, and it shows the talent of the author of this book. And there's quite a few of these as you read through, which is nice. So it says, stairway to the crypt. Ancient stone steps descend toward a tight 4x4 landing, an arched opening ahead. The masonry is more rough hewn here. Decorative embellishments remain, though indicative of much older, less refined workmanship. As the party nears the opening at the foot of the landing, the drone heard in the upper sanctum grows louder. So even there, you can see that the author is understanding tension and how important tension is in storytelling. So, that repetitiveness, that's one of the ways you can create tension, is say, oh, you're hearing the drone. Now you're hearing the drone again. You're hearing the drone. And it's like, okay, it's getting to me now because I'm hearing it. Right. And so just two, we just read two flavor texts, and here you can see this nice crypt map. So fun time to be had here. I'm going to read one more for you. and then we'll move on. But I really hope you consider this book because I think it could be a fun adventure for levels 3 to 5. So it says a small campsite borders a derelict cemetery dotted with crumbling monuments and headstones. It stretches for quite a distance to the north and south along a barren road, a reminder of the area's troubled history. Out amidst the mounds and cairns, a tall man appears to be fending off several large vultures, which are attempting to make a meal of him. He yelps in distress, swatting at them with a lute as he scrambles for cover inside a crumbling mausoleum. As he disappears inside, the hungry vultures set their sights on you. So yeah, this person knows how to write because each of these is crafted to end with that sort of feeling directed at the player, whether it's the intensity of those drone sounds or the vultures turning at them. So I think you're going to be in for a treat if you play this whole thing. I mean, obviously I haven't had time to read the whole thing. If only I could read a whole book. I'm too busy making other books. Anyway, it is truly fun to read these. I've only read 3 and I've enjoyed them all. So I hope you check it all out. There's plenty more in there for you to read for yourself before you decide what to purchase here. But I mean, $5.99 for 25 pages. I think it's a good price. It gives you that old school feel in the latest edition of the game. So check it out. It's under Ascension of the Faceless King in the links below. Give it a click. Next, we have Bleaksprout from Deadbox Games. It's $5. Looks like it's normally much more than that. It's 28 pages. Author Frank Tedeschi. And it's for 5th edition. And it looks like there's some art that may have been used for a Kickstarter because it's talking about a physical edition, although there isn't one here. But that's okay. When I looked in this, it looks really, really cool. It says, the adventure is divided into 3 parts with natural stopping points. Each part is designed to be played in about 1 session. So yeah, you get like 3 sessions out of this, which could be cool, especially for that price. It says the adventurers are infected by a mysterious fungal blight called Bleaksprout. They shrink down to minuscule size, encounter unusual people called sporlings, and meet their king who asks them to help rid the land of Bleaksprout. Wow, that's cool. So you're going to be tiny, and you're going to have to get rid of the reason that is causing all of this fungal blight, or is the fungal blight, I guess, is Bleaksprout, so which I think is a cool name as well. So look at the artwork, and I mean, even just the colors of the fonts, I think is really pleasing to the eye here. I'm just going to scroll real quick so you can see. I mean, here's the Truffle Tower. I mean, this is beautifully illustrated. It's only $5. So it's got part 1, the adventurers are infected by the mysterious fungal blight, shrink down. Part 2, the party delves into the Underlog to seek the source of the Bleaksprout. So that's like equivalent probably to the Underdark. And then finally, part 3, players will explore the Bleak Temple and discover the source of the Bleaksprout. So I'm not going to reveal what that is, so you don't have spoilers. It says, and it tells you where you can roll 1d10 to determine where the Bleaksprout occurs. So it can be around the knees, which can cause difficulty walking and reduces player speed by 10 feet. It can be over the ears, deafens the character around the eyes. Players suffer disadvantage of perception. On the temples, no adverse effects. So depending on, you could get lucky on where this manifests, it looks like. So sporlings are minuscule sentient spores who live a simple, serene life with little need of adventure. Sadly, the Bleaksprout has infected their ancient home, Truffle Tower. When a few sporlings spot adventurers who've been infected, they have an idea. Recruit the party to help them with the Bleaksprout before Truffle Tower crumbles. 3 sporling scouts find the adventurers and are determined to seek their help. Oh, that's cool. So, you know, when you become small here, I guess, you meet this race called the Sporlings, and they're gonna need your help. Yeah, and here's their Truffle Tower. That looks really cool. It says the tower is a magnificent oddity. Its crooked stipe and spotted caps reach into the air like a fungal cityscape. Rotund slugs crawl across the caps, suckling on the surface of the tower and leaving streaks in their wake. Inside, sporlings flow to and fro in a strange asynchronous dance. They fill walkways, spiral ramps, vertical chutes, and a multitude of carved chambers. So this is like a whole city here for these little sporling folks. yeah, I mean, I think this is so cool. I love miniature stuff, and it looks like there's going to be a bleak eating slug, which is the CR3 that they're going to have to deal with. It says, whilst treating with the king, the party learns that Bleaksprout is a necrotic fungus that parasitically sprouts from organic matter. That Truffle Tower will fall if the Bleaksprout is not stopped destroying the sporelings. They are not well suited for combat and need the adventurers to find the source of the Bleaksprout. Yeah, these are just peaceful people, and their life has been interrupted by this. And that's a great storytelling mechanic, is to have someone's life interrupted. And in this case, it's a whole Truffle Tower full of life that's being interrupted. But I love this artwork on the cover. I love the artwork throughout. I think it's really fun, becoming minuscule. I mean, think about it too. Like, you're going to become minuscule, and then if you have an adventure after you solve this, will you be able to even talk to the sporelings again? Because you're going to be human-sized or elf-sized or whatever, potentially, when you're all done, right? Or do you stay small and have to navigate further sort of underlog areas? And underlog, since this is minuscule, might be not the Underdark. It might just be under a log somewhere, right? So that makes sense. Very, very cool. I love this. I think it's going to be really fun for people. So look for it in the links below under Bleaksprout and give it a click. Next, we have Cirque du Nocturne, Night of the Living Dead, with this really cool cover artwork for the classic film that launched George Romero into the popular culture lexicon and really made the statement of zombies. I mean, this is where it all traces back to. Yes, there were attempts before that, but this is where it became popularized in terms of films. And now there's a way to play it with Dungeons and Dragons here. It says $5 for this. And it's a 5th edition mini campaign, which will see your players barricading themselves inside a farmstead to escape from a rabid horde intent on eating their brains. So it's going to be just like that movie where you're trapped in a farmstead, zombies are coming at you. And it says these zombies are slightly different than the ones we've gotten used to in more recent years. Basically, the ones in Dungeons and Dragons are a little different, and a lot of the modern films with zombies have these sort of fast zombies, but Romero's were always slower. It says, so we've come up with a dozen new zombie types wielding weapons and making noise. These zombies are 100% compatible to throw in your 5th edition game. So in addition to the scenario that's going to let you sort of recreate the film, you're going to get the opportunity to have a bunch of other zombies that you can then throw at your players in other situations. So you got vomiter zombies, zombie deer, zombie clown, radioactive zombies, giant zombies, crawler zombies, exploder zombies. I mean, zombies for days in here. So then it goes into the scenario, and it is 20 pages, so you're getting to see 5 of those here. So it talks about modern equipment. So if you're going to play sort of a modern setting with this, you can. I mean, because that would be more appropriate to recreate the film. But I'm sure you could adapt it and make it like a farmstead in a fantasy setting as well. But it says a number of sources are reporting that a freak wave of mass murder is sweeping across the kingdoms. The recently deceased have become reanimated and are consuming the flesh of the living. Experts, alchemists, and the military have failed to discover the cause, though one astronomer suspects a mysterious rock that burned down from the heavens and cracked the ground released a terrible plague. So yeah, so they're writing from sort of the fantasy point of view, and then down here you can bring in the modern equipment if you want. It says in recent years, the Romero Ranch had grown to become one of the leading producers of premium quality venison in the area. From humble beginnings butchering beef and pork for local customers, they grew to specialize exclusively in prime venison and traded their goods in any means. So in many realms, I should say. So it has no lights or fires are lit throughout the home beyond what the characters bring themselves. So it says every 15 minutes real time, roll a d20 and refer to the zombie spawn table below. Whenever the characters do something super loud, also roll another d20. So it tells you what happens, right, with that d20 here. So no zombies spawn on a 1 to 15, but on 16 to 17, 1d4 crasher zombies, 18 to 19, 1d6 crusher zombies, and on a 20, 1d10. And they appear from a random side. So yeah, you're going to be sort of simulating what it's like to have random waves of zombies coming at you. And then, like I said, if you want to bring in a hunting rifle, revolver, sawed-off shotgun, some of those more modern things that you would have seen in a Romero film or any of the recent zombie stuff. You can. So, I mean, this is a fun opportunity. You could do this for Halloween. You could do it just as a one-shot, it looks like. And you could even use some of these mechanics of the waves of zombies and stuff for other situations, too. So check it out. It's under Cirque du Nocturne, Night of the Living Dead, and the links below. Give it a click. Next, we have The Death of Magic from Critical Crafting, $9.99 for 82 pages. And it's for 5th edition. Dylan Olney, Cameron DeFord are the authors. And it says, brings you to a post-war world where magic has been outlawed. The technocracy of... or technocracy, I guess is the best way to say that, of the Blink rules the lands with an iron fist, and spellcasters are forced into hiding for fear of death. Pick a side and take a stand. This is normally priced at $44 for all of the items individually. The special bundle is provided with 80 pages of 5th edition content. So if it's normally $44 and you're paying $9.99, that's a good deal. So you get a 26-page adventure for levels 3 to 4. 14 stat blocks and 1 monster template, 16 new items with printable item cards, 6 new spells with printable spell cards, 3 battle maps, 8 feats, 3 deficiencies, 5 graphs, a new game mechanic for player customization, 2 player backgrounds, a wizard subclass called the Arcana Mage, and a new player race called the Soma. Yeah, this is a lot of stuff. I'm gonna add this to my wish list because it's a lot of fun stuff in there. So you've got... Yeah, you can see how it breaks down all the different things in here. But the artwork throughout is really nice. I mean, I'm enjoying looking through this. I mean, look at these fun, different sort of spider folk. And then down here you can find out more about the people behind it. And then it gets right into Blink and Arcanum lore. So it says, the Mages' War was a great battle some 500 years ago between the Order of the Three and the Blink. Many have taken to describing time based on these events that took place, shaping the whole of the realm. And then they have sort of their own like BC AD way of telling time. It says the Order of the Blink was developed by scientists, tinkerers, and soldiers who were wholly opposed to the use of magic and the damage it can inflict. The Blink itself was not a kingdom, but it soon became something like one, with many individuals of various nations flocking to the Order and the protection it offered during the Mages' War. Over time, the Blink became exceedingly zealous in its destruction of mages and spellcasters of any kind, not to mention magical creatures or artifacts. With its doctrine moving from one of concern to one of pure hatred, the Blink was led by the Nameless Man. He discovered the qualities of a mysterious substance known as arcanile. With this discovery, the Blink quickly advanced technologically far beyond the magic-using kingdoms, inventing machines and using the powerful arcanile to power weapons to replace the magic that others relied upon. Blink members will often call out in the name of the Nameless when referring to the power of the Blink, and by extension, the Nameless Man. So yeah, that's an interesting backstory. I like the name of the technology arcanile. That sounds really cool. And it says, after the Mages' War, the Blink began to take control of more and more territories and kingdoms, expanding their anti-magic sentiments wherever they went. The Arcanum was established by hunted spellcasters who joined together in an attempt to stop the genocide of magic users. The Arcanum is a young, poorly funded, and works primarily in small, disparate groups with little organization. Most Arcanum mages have lived in hiding for years, and some serve as freedom fighters, while others may be viewed as full-on terrorists. Any spellcaster that lives in Blink-controlled region may wish to seek out the protections of the Arcanum, slim as those chances of finding them or procuring protection are. So, if you think about it, most of the time when you're playing Dungeons and Dragons, right, it's magic focused. I mean, people are thinking in terms of spells and magic items and things like that. So this is a world where that's dangerous, and you're going to have to get creative with how you expose that you're able to do magic. And, you know, once someone sees that, it could be more dangerous for you. And it kind of reminds me a little bit, even though I'm sure it's more nuanced than that, but, you know, the Rebels versus the Empire in Star Wars, right? Because you're kind of going to be the underdog, and you're going to be going up against this, you know, the Blink, and trying to stop them from their technological takeover of this world. So yeah, you have a whole adventure in here, and it starts down here with the background of the history. And it says the The Ralkoth Empire can easily be replaced with a country government organization of your own home game, but it is provided here as a springboard for new ideas and lore to help populate your world. So it gives you a specific setting, but you can swap that out easily with your own stuff. But I mean, just look at how beautifully laid out this is with the fun artwork throughout, to just sort of give you that feeling. And then here's a intelligence history check, and it shows you how, depending on your score, you get more information. So let's read a little bit about the 𝙤𝙤 gate so you can get a feel for the writing here. It says, you come to the gates of a settlement, the stone walls rising high above, and a large heavy gate is barred before you with a small sliding mechanism, obviously meant for looking or peeking through to the side of the gate. A massive spire of metal can be seen that looms over even the tall wall of the settlement from somewhere within. As you approach, 2 guards dressed in strange mechanical armor carrying heavy-looking maces approach. Each is wearing a severed hand with a crystal implanted in it around their neck. What business have you in 𝙤𝙤? One of the guards asks, his voice muffled by the glass mask over his face. This settlement is under the control of the blank. Hail the death of magic, calls the other. In the name of the nameless, responds the first, almost as a reflex. So you can see they're not the friendliest bunch, right? They're way into this anti-magic sentiment. So yeah, you can have some fun with that because you can give them magic to the face and say, magic is here. We're not going anywhere. So I think it could be really fun. The artwork alone is going to be inspirational to you. And as I said, there's 82 pages here. So this is a significant amount of stuff. There's some things that you can grab and go for other things, whether it's spells, items, etc., race, wizard subclass, or you can use it all together or just play the adventure, whatever you want to do. But you've got options here because it is the death of magic, and it's in the links below. Be sure to give it a click. Next, we have Escape from Undergarden, a Tier 2 5th edition adventure by JVC Perry with Benoit de Bernardi, and it's 1864 for 40 pages. This was a Kickstarter that I backed, and JVC Perry does really good adventures, so I knew it was going to be a good one, and I just really enjoyed the artwork in the Kickstarter. And it says it's a fast-paced action adventure with an emphasis on exploration and puzzle solving. And it's set in the small village of Thrall, which is mobbed by hunters searching for the Golden Heart. Meanwhile, the characters are on a quest to find the missing Gallant sister who has got into trouble with the Deep Root Ring, a group of fanatical druids pushing back against the encroachment of the hunters. So you've got a lot of wilderness things happening here. There's people searching for the Golden Heart, there's hunters, then you've got this fanatical druid group called the Root Ring. I mean, it is very steeped in wilderness. You've got all of these beautiful pieces of art in here. It says, what the characters discover is that Mirren Gallant has been thrown into the magical prison of the Druids, a place named Undergarden, which is filled with fey magic and whimsy. Unfortunately, the enchanted forest is as deadly as it is beautiful, and the characters must use all their wits to survive, find Mirren, and escape. So it's really, really cool. Like I said, I back this. You can see how beautiful the artwork is here. And, it's going to take characters from 5th to 8th level, and it's got beautiful artwork. Beautiful, beautiful artwork. I mean, gosh, I can't get over these maps. So cool. But you're going to get to explore this fey fun in this Undergarden area, and you can see everything is marked here. You've got the entrance clearing, the glade of the evergreen. You've got the king of the forest, the fairy ring. I mean, so many different places. I haven't gotten to spend much time with my Kickstarter copy. I've been too busy working on other things, but I'm excited to be able to spend time with it in the future because it just looks so cool. And I like Fae stuff, so this is really fun way to engage with Fae as well as wilderness. As I said, it's got those two sort of things that come together. Those naturally go together, but I like that they're kind of both explored here. And you can see this beautiful sundial they've got going on. There's some artwork of these really ornate sort of antique keys that are used for some of the puzzles, and I just think it's so well done and beautiful and worth supporting with a purchase. So why don't you look for it in the video description links and escape from Undergarden? Give it a click. Next we have Fountains, Pools, and Wells. It's part of this Wicked Encounter series from Jeff C. Stevens, Jeff Stevens Games, Rimley Farr, and Gene Lorber. And it's 30 pages, and it's a collection of unique and interesting water sources that you can add to your game as an encounter, side quest, one-shot, or longer adventure. Imagine the parched characters drinking the cool well water, only to be turned into a gelatinous cube, grow strange appendages, be granted a blessing or a curse, or simply fall asleep. The ideas they supply can also be ported over to rivers, lakes, streams, or even potions. So you get 20 individual fountains, pools, or wells, 11 detailed encounters, one encounter inspired by the cover image called the Underfarmer's Roots, 6 color maps, and 2 new creatures, including the bouncy gelatinous cube and the juvenile giant snapping turtle. So those could be useful even outside of this adventure. But I love it. It's I shouldn't say this adventure, this collection of encounters and things to have in your world. But I love this because, you see a fountain here and, in a location, and it's just a fountain. Or maybe it's not even running. Maybe it's just a dead fountain, right? But with these options, you can make that fountain, that pool, that well, or even, as it says, rivers, lakes, streams, or potions come to life. Because you can take some of the magical effects and just port them to whatever you need. So maybe you've got a room or two in a dungeon you're trying to build, and you're like, gosh, I just don't have anything interesting. I don't know what to do. I'm running out of steam. Maybe you're doing that challenge where you basically create a room, I think each day, or I forget the challenge, but there's some challenge going on where people are like mapping through 365 days until they have a mega dungeon at the end. This is perfect. You can throw some of these things in there. I can't say enough about all the different options. And so you got the introduction, the listings, how it works, modifying the difficulty class. So if you want to make, or difficulty check, if you want to make it higher or lower, you can. It says several of the water sources offer polymorph effects. These mimic the polymorph spell. But right here, you get right into the first one. So the algae-filled pool. So it comes with flavor text. It says the stone and mortar pool is filled with green water. A slimy green film coats the interior stones. And it says if the algae is touched or the water is consumed without it being purified, either by heat or by the purify food and drink spell, the character's skin begins to ooze the green algae for 1d4 plus 1 days. For the duration, the character has disadvantage on dex, strength, charisma, ability checks, as well as disadvantage on melee or ranged attack rolls made with handheld weapons. So yeah, you don't want to get affected by that. But again, it's an effect you can drop in somewhere. So here we've got one called Chaotic Attributes. This well is constructed from mortared stone bricks, each with its own carving of a unique theatrical mask. A creature drinking from this water source must attempt a DC 14 Wisdom saving throw. On a failed save, 2 of the creature's attributes are switched until they are targeted by the lesser restoration spell or similar magic. So it gives you a table to roll for that. So, lots of fun options. There's tables in here to roll on for like the far realm water, where their head doubles in size or their nose triples in size. You've got the flawed memories, the mountain of colors. So with the flawed memories, said one creature's memory has been modified. So you can have something like, I love eating seaweed cake. I crave it all the time. And another one is, I am very well known in this area. When someone does not recognize me, I respond with, have you not heard of me? Do you not know who I am? Or I am so-and-so. You are graced with my presence. So these could be fun to role play, right? And there's just quite a few in here, and you're getting to see 12 of the 30 pages. So you get to see all the different pre-constructed wells and pools and fountains, and then you get to see a little bit of the encounters too. So a creek stained red, the bouncy fountain, dude, where's my water elemental, ephemeral ponds of Kalamazoo. Some really fun options. So You never know when you're going to need this to dress a dungeon, to fill in a blank spot, or just somebody keeps asking every time they see a water source, what's that? And you're like, gosh, I need to make one of these interesting. So this book is going to give you ways to do that. You're going to have an assortment available for $4.95. So check it out. It's under Fountains, Pools, and Wells in the links below. Give it a click. Next, we have the Golden Sands, a one-shot and location for 5th edition. And it's from CZ RPG. It's $9.99 for 19 pages. And it aims to help to save you prep time and impress your players, because you get a ready-to-use location, which you can drop into any setting, along with detailed encounters that can become an adventure. All supported by maps, so you have no need to really do much preparation. The region has recently been plagued by a vile curse that turns anyone who touches the affected gold into undead who roam the desert. This curse has started major economic issues, and authorities want this fixed. And it says for groups of 3rd to 4th level, and you get 1 location with lore, 3 detailed encounters, 3 new stat blocks, 3 battle maps with 25 plus versions, and a regional map. So fun stuff. Let's look inside. So as it said, recommended tier 1, levels 3 to 4. So you get an overarching plot, which we'll look at in a minute, some notable locations, notable NPCs, and you can see some, oh, look at that artwork. That's cool. Something creeping around that sort of hieroglyphic pillar here. And then you've got the map in here of where this is set, 𝙬𝙬𝙬𝙬. And here's an encounter. It says background, the party either stumbles upon the dead bounty hunter or arrives at 𝙬𝙬𝙬𝙬 for other reasons. And then you get a flavor text. But let's read just a little bit about the overarching plot. It says, the tribes of the Golden Sands have long coveted the wealth of the Bank of 𝙬𝙬𝙬𝙬. Driven by greed and desperation, they hatched a daring plan to tunnel into the bank's vault from below, using the cover of the dunes and sandstorms to keep their work hidden. As they dug deeper into the earth, they broke into a previously undiscovered underground tomb used by the bank as a vault. The Ivory Bank itself was largely unaware of the hidden parts of the underground complex and was taken by surprise when workers reported otherworldly sounds coming from down in the vaults. At first, the Ivory Bank tried to keep the breach secret. They had a reputation to uphold, but soon disturbing things began to happen across the city. Even though the general public had no knowledge of the vault's breach, rumors spread that the bank's gold was cursed. Many who touched it began displaying sickness before vanishing into the desert overnight. As fear spreads throughout the city, the council grows concerned that people may start to flee 𝙬𝙬𝙬𝙬 altogether, destabilizing the region completely. They now look for outsiders who can solve the problems of their cursed gold. So perfect setup. All this stuff happening behind the characters. It's a backdrop to everything that they're going to be experiencing. So I love that. Really cool backdrop to place an adventure in. And so we'll just read one of the intro blocks here. It says, as you approach the city gates of 𝙬𝙬𝙬𝙬 for the first time, you can't help but be struck by the sight before you. The city rises up from the desert like a shimmering mirage, its sandstone walls adorned with intricate carvings of falcons and other desert creatures. You can see palm trees swaying in the breeze and a network of canals running through the city's heart. Growing closer, your senses are steadily filled by a hectic blend of sounds and smells. You hear the haggling of merchants over spices and silks, and see street performers entertaining passers-by. The air is filled with the tantalizing aromas of fine foods and sweet perfumes, but yet, despite the bright colors of the buildings and the exotic sounds and smells, the people seem to be downtrodden and on edge. You see worried looks on their faces and can sense a palpable tension in the air. So we kind of know why, right? This cursed gold and stuff. But I like how it kind of sets it up, because this is something the players are going to have to discover as they explore this location that they've fleshed out for you. And then they go through the encounters and adventures in here. Yeah, really cool. The maps look gorgeous too. And you get so many variations, 25 plus variations for this. And I mean, look at this sort of sphinx here at the end of this map. I mean, fun stuff. It's so cool to see these kinds of things come out, and you can have a whole new location to have an adventure with maps and everything ready to go. So I hope you check it out. It's under the Golden Sands in the links below. Give it a click. Next, we have Sarhain's Guide to the Silver Flame by Luke Robinson. So explore the depth and breadth of the Silver Flame in this Eberron supplement for 5th edition, and it is $15.04 for 74 pages. It says, explore the various cultures that worship or revere the silver flame in the 𝘽𝙤𝙘 and Eberron. Sarhain's guide, written by the church's very own 𝙤𝙤 Sarhain, is at once a collation of existing lore and expansion upon it. So over 50 pages of lore and supporting mechanics, detailing the Church of the Silver Flame, the stalwart 𝘽𝙤𝙘 of the Demon Waste, the ever-vigilant 𝘏𝑉𝑟𝑖𝑘 of 𝘽𝙤𝙘, the watchful 𝘽𝙤𝙘, and several other smaller groups that have a relationship with the flame. The Silver Flame has been portrayed inconsistently throughout editions, and its portrayal hasn't always aligned with the setting creator's vision for the faith. This supplement sets out to align and reconcile these conflicting portrayals where possible. So I love things like this where the goal is to take conflicting canon and bridge those gaps and bring it together. Some of my favorite comic books are when writers say, we know the history's messed up. Let's go back and just sort of tidy it up, bridge everything together, and make sense of it all so you guys can just sort of move on and not complain anymore, and you kind of have an explanation for why things are messed up. And so, it's really cool to see that. I remember, I used to read the Wonder Woman comics, and, Donna Troy's history has always been all messed up, and John Byrne took a stab at fixing it. It was so interesting the way he did it, from a writing standpoint, as a writer myself, and sort of reconciling all the variations. I don't think it's stuck. DC is constantly reinventing itself, DC Comics, that is, but I love when writers attempt to do that, because it's an exercise for the mind, a puzzle, especially if you're into writing, just kind of seeing how people approach these things and resolve it. So anyway, this book, it's got some really fun art. It's connected to Eberron, which I know is really, really popular. Look at this cool artwork here. And there's quite a lot going on. So you get the history of the church, so many things related to the different groups, I guess you would say, maybe factions. I'm not sure. I haven't played Eberron, so I'm not super familiar with all the ins and outs of it. There's some other cultures. You got player options, races, cleric, paladin, monk, wizard stuff, treasures, common treasures, Church of Silver Flame treasures, a bestiary with various things, including the 𝘽𝙤𝙘. So, but yeah, it starts off with just tons and tons of lore. There's even some folk saints here listed. But yeah, if you like Eberron and you like reading the lore, and I feel like a lot of people do, because it's quite popular, and some of the books are almost all just lore. So I think this should fit well with people who are fans of it. Yeah, see, look at this art. Cool stuff in here. Council of the Flame Keep. So it's just lore for days. So you get to see the whole book. So wow, we're gonna scroll to some of the mechanical stuff. I could read the lore stuff, but I think that's mostly gonna be for fans of Eberron that know it really well. And I think even in a book like this, people that aren't playing Eberron can get some mechanical goodness out of it. So I'm going to see if we can find some of there's the bestiary, so there's quite a bit of stuff. I'm not sure what the ranges of the CRs are, but let's see if we can find some treasures. There we go. We found some treasures. Awesome. So we got the retractable shield. So again, the reason I'm choosing to read this is anybody can take this retractable shield and use it, outside of Eberron too. So, but I hope you come and read this. This is a great opportunity to read the whole book. Most books don't give you that opportunity, especially ones that are priced at $15. So it says, these shields created by the Order of the Crucible are designed to be worn by Thrain's elite archers to provide them with the protection in the unfortunate circumstances that they find themselves in close quarters combat. In its retracted state, the shield is essentially a slightly heavier bracer and functions as one for protecting the archer's wrist from their arrows. When activated, segments of the steel fan out from the outer face of the bracer to form a small buckler-like shield. The shield can be retracted in the bracer or deployed into the back of the shield as a bonus action. The hand holding the shield is free when it is retracted, but the wearer doesn't benefit from the bonus to their AC provided by the shield. So yeah, that could be really helpful. And then you got this big one called the 𝘽𝙤𝙤𝙬. It's a great sword, and it's an artifact, requires attunement. It contains the spirit of 𝘏𝙗, which the sword is named after. The blade is silvered and engraved with flame-like patterns, and the guard looks like a rainbow-feathered metallic wings. The pommel contains a large 𝘏𝙤 𝙎𝙤, which glows with an inner silvery light. 𝘽𝙤𝙤𝙀 was given the great sword 𝘏𝙤𝙤 by the 𝘏𝙤𝙤 and wielded it in her final battle against the overlord 𝘏𝙤𝙤, the shadow in the flame. You gain a +3 bonus to attack and damage rolls made with this magic weapon. While attuned to it, you gain a celestial resistance. You have resistance to radiant and necrotic damage, divine presence. Your charisma score becomes 20 unless it's already 20 or higher. Holy light, the sword sheds bright light in 5-foot radius and dim light for an additional 5 feet. As a bonus action, you can intensify the sword's light, causing it to shed bright light in a 15-foot radius. And then unstoppable radiance 𝘏𝙤𝙤 deals an additional 18 radiant damage to any creature it hits. In addition, any creature that takes damage from 𝘏𝙤𝙤 loses any resistance to immunity to radiant damage that it has for 1 hour. So that's powerful, but it's an artifact. Binding Flame, when 𝘏𝙤𝙤 reduces a fiend to 0 hit points, you can choose to have the fiend bound within the 𝘏𝙤𝙬 shard in 𝘏𝙤𝙤's pommel. That's cool. The shard can contain only a single fiend at a time, and attempting to contain another destroys the currently contained fiend if it is CR 19 or lower, and releases it if its challenge rating is higher. Sentience, it's a sentient weapon, a lawful good, and it gives you all the stats for that. So, and then, just goes on. You got the Crook of Arwe, the Silver Claw, the Sacred Bell, the Song of Sybaris, which is a longbow. You got the Storm Blade, Song Silver. So, really nice that you get all of this alongside, an arcane tradition and silver pyromancy and a monk way of the 𝘽𝙤 𝘎𝙤. And you get a race, the 𝘽𝙤 𝘎𝙤, and then the Paladin, you get some variant rules like ranged smite. So just so much stuff in here. I mean, this is just a massive tome, and you can sit here and read it all, thankfully, before you decide whether or not to buy. And I really think if you're an Eberron fan, this is going to be a must-have for you. And even if you're not, there could be some things that you could pull out of here, because there's so much as well added at the end with the bestiary, the items, and the the race and subclasses and stuff. So look for it in the video description links under Sarhain's Guide to the Silver Flame and give it a click. Next we have Sidekicks, 27 original Sidekick classes from Adam Hancock, $14.95 for 84 pages. And so, Tasha's Cauldron of Everything introduced the Sidekick concept, which is, basically a helper, where you can have these classes for your helper, and it determines the kind of help that they can provide you, and they level as you go, which is also really helpful. And so there are so many options in here. As I said, I think it's 27. Yep. Angelic, which is a sidekick from Mount Celestia. There's animated for magically animated object sidekick. There's brawler for sidekicks who fight with feet and fists. Mystic for sidekicks with weird powers, Tinker, an inventive sidekick, and their explosive weapons. I mean, we're just scratching the surface, because there's 27. And it says you decide who plays the sidekick, and there are options. So a player plays the sidekick as their second character, ideal when you only have 1 or 2 players. A player plays the sidekick as their only character, ideal for a player who wants a character who's simpler than a typical player character. Or, you may have somebody who comes and goes, right? And so this is a good way to have them involved. I also think of, there's movements to get people maybe that are in care homes involved in games, and so maybe they're more limited on what they can do, and so maybe having them play a sidekick is a little easier to get them involved. Maybe you have a relative who wants to play and just isn't super into all the min-maxing and details of everything, and so having them play a sidekick could be good. Or, all the players can jointly play the sidekick, or even the DM can do it. Or you can even use this to customize monsters and NPCs. So lots and lots of options with this. Well worth $14.95 to have this on hand, because there are other supplements that cover sidekicks, but never have I seen one that gives you so many in one book. I mean, this is just a ton, and they're all so different. And then you get some bonus stat blocks at the end too. So it talks about creating a sidekick. I mean, it's also giving you sort of that guidance on how to deal with it, because it is kind of a newer concept. because it didn't come out with the launch of 5th edition, right? So you got the angelic one here, goes into all the details on that, angelic wings and animated, what that one gets up to. The bodiless, so that could be fun. So it says the bodiless sidekick is the incorporeal spirit of a creature that has died. So you could even use this for maybe a character that's died. Still fixated on unfinished business, the sidekick remains in the land of the living until their work is done. To gain the bodiless class, a creature's type must be undead. Alternatively, it can be an aberration, beast, dragon, giant, humanoid, or monstrosity that has died. A sidekick gains the following features as they gain levels, as summarized in the bodiless table. So at first level, they get bonus proficiencies. They get the incorporeal feature at first level as well. So they can they have the same appearance in life down to the clothing they used to wear, except for they're ghostly and translucent. And they can move other creatures and objects through other creatures and objects. So they have that incorporeal trait that you see on a lot of monsters, and they don't need to eat, drink, sleep, or breathe air. And then at second level, it says they can see 60 feet into the ethereal plane. They have a life drain, so they can basically drain some life. It says on a hit with a melee attack, the target must succeed on a con saving throw against a specific DC that they spell out here, and or its hit point maximum is reduced by an amount equal to the damage taken. This reduction lasts until the creature finishes a long rest. The target dies if this effect reduces it to 0. And then you get ability score increase. So again, they're meant to level. So each level, something's changing, or almost each level, because this goes 4th to 6th, right? So it looks like a lot of the even levels. And then you got the 7th level bodiless feature. The sidekick gains immunity to necrotic damage. 14th, possession. Let's go to the last one. So 18th, sidekick becomes skilled at haunting, gaining one of the following attack options, which they cannot use again until they finish a long rest. So horrifying visage. Each non-undead creature within 60 feet of the sidekick that can see them must succeed on a wisdom saving throw against that special DC. And otherwise, they're frightened for 1 minute and take necrotic damage, or half as much on a successful one. A frightened target can repeat its saving throw, and it says they can also do wail. The sidekick releases a mournful wail. This wail has no effect on constructs and undead. All other creatures within 30 feet of the sidekick that can hear them must make a con saving throw. On a failure, a creature with 50 points or fewer drops to 0 hit points. On a success, or if the creature has more than 50 hit points, it takes 10 psychic damage. And then whispers, the sidekick chooses one creature they can see within 60 feet of them. The target must succeed on a saving throw. Otherwise, they take damage, psychic damage, and must use their reaction to make a melee weapon attack against one creature of the sidekick's choice that the sidekick can see. So fun stuff. And that's just one. We just read through the bodiless, but you've got brawler, you've got angelic, you've got climber, you've got corpse. There's even a corpse one that could be fun. Again, you could use that with a player that's died, maybe one that's even left the table and they said, oh yeah, you can use my character, or just bring it back as a corpse or whatever. Flyer, flora. I just think these look so cool. The jelly, look at that, how fun. So, you're just going to have a good time with this. Again, these can be NPCs. They can be whatever you want them to be. But there just aren't enough sidekick options, because that was a really cool thing that they came out with in Tasha's. So to have 27 more, that's just beautiful. So I hope you check it out. It's in the video description. Links is under Sidekicks. Give it a click. Okay, now we come to that part of our program where we cover rapid fire, a number of releases that we don't have time to go into detail on, but we want to at least let you know that they're out there, what they are, what their prices are, etc. And they're linked in the video description as well, so you can click them and check them out down there. So first we have Bulio's Bounty with printable treasure and loot cards. It's $4.99 for 14 pages. And then we have Carcass Crawler, the official old school Essentials zine. It's issue number 3 for OSR. It's got classes, races, and monsters. $7.50 for 32 pages. Then we have Dungeon Crawl Classics. They released a whole series on Drive-Thru RPG this week, and we've got The Laughing Idol of Larshan, which is the first one in the Dying Earth series. It's number 1. It's a level 1 adventure, and it's for 3.5 edition because it is Dungeon Crawl Classics. So yeah, it looks really fun. Love all the artwork. We've got Factions of Phandalin for Forgotten Realms. It's got a lot of factions, obviously, as well as some backgrounds and items. It's $10 for 126 pages, so quite a few pages on that one. Then we've got Falchion, City of Thieves, a complete drop-in setting based upon rogues for any fantasy tabletop RPG. So it's a location, and it says it's for 5th edition and as well as system neutral. Then we've got the Fomor Folio, a manual of monsters, items, and more. And so obviously it has monsters and it's got items in it. It's $9.99, 64 pages. Then we've got Giants of Jotunheimr, a Moonshae adventure. So that is for Forgotten Realms and it's adventure level 14, $2 for 13 pages. Then we have Guardians of Winterwall, which is designed for younger players. It's an adventure, and it is $4.99 for 145 pages with some really fun handouts and artwork. Then we've got the Gate Pass Gazette, issue number 11. It's designed for Level Up, which is advanced 5th edition, and it's a grab bag of stuff if you like playing 5th edition Level Up style, which is backwards compatible with 5th edition, so I encourage you to check it out. And it is $14.99 for the PDF or the softcover, and you can get both of them for that same price. It's 24 pages. Then we've got Oath of the Dragon Samurai, Snowfall, and Iwaki. And that is an adventure for Tier 1. It's a suggested price of $4.99 for 53 pages. Then we have Polluck's Quest Prompts, Volume 1. It's 1,000 prompts, system neutral, that you can use. And it's basically a ton of hooks for $1 and 89 pages worth. So great price. Then we've got the Sepulchre of Dusk, which is an adventure for level 1 for OSR and Old School Essentials. It's $2.99 for 29 pages. Then we got Walking Through the Realms, which is optional rules for travel. It's suggested price is $0 for I'm not sure how many pages, but you can get it for free. And then we've got the Wolves of Langston, which is a solo adventure with some beautiful cover artwork here. And lastly, we have the Wrestler, which is a brand new class for 5th edition with some fun artwork as well in the cover. I mean, he is grappling that owlbear in that cover, so fun stuff. Well, that's it for the new releases this week. Please subscribe to the channel, like the video, leave us a comment for the algorithm, share the video out there with your friends on your socials so we can spread the word about all the awesome creators, and click those links in the video description so you can support them and encourage these creators to keep going. And if you purchase anything, you're going to help the channel, even if it's something we didn't cover this week, because we get a small affiliate fee when you do your shopping with us. So if you're thinking about shopping on DriveThruRPG or DM's Guild, if you can remember to go to one of our videos and click a link or bookmark it, that's really going to help us on the regular. So if you could do that, we'd love that. And there's other ways to support us, like all of our books. We have 7 of them that we've released so far. You can check those out at splinterverse.com or the links in the video description. We have an amazing 2-book Kickstarter coming later this year. It's going to be our biggest book to date. It's a setting plus an adventure. I cannot wait to give you details. I think it will blow your mind. But that's just me talking. It is my baby after all. So don't take my word for it. Just wait and see what we've got planned. So make sure you're following us everywhere at Splinterverse. And here's my tip for the creators for this week. I really want you to, no matter whether you're doing it for just fun or you're trying to be a full-time creator, please make sure your full-size preview and your quick preview are working on these sites. It is so easy to upload and not check it. Go to your page, view it as a customer, click around, try it in different browsers, ask your friends to check it, make sure it's working. I've seen far too many books launch with no previews. They want $14.95 for it, and people are like, I'm not going to spend $14 on something I can't even look at. And the creator doesn't even realize it's not there. The other thing you got to keep in mind is with these sites, when you make an edit, it will sometimes kick out the preview. And so you have to go to manage my previews and deal with it separately. So make your changes in the normal edit screen, then go to manage my previews and make sure everything's, you might have to disable the preview, then re-enable it, wait 15 minutes for the cache to sort of refresh, etc., and then check it again. Super, super important. A lot of books come out and don't get any traction because they didn't realize they didn't have a preview. They fall off the front page. By the time they get the preview, nobody even sees that they're there, and they sell next to no copies. I also tend to not cover any on this channel without a preview because I have nothing to really read and show the audience, so it's also a barrier to getting on this show. So really, really take the time. It's so sad for me to see people spend hours and hours and days and months working on these books to then sort of fall down at the end. I know you're exhausted. I've been there, but you've got to do it. It's a must. And so that's my tip for creators out there listening this week. I'm glad you stayed tuned all the way to the end to hear that, because I do want to see all of you succeed. Thank you so much for watching and joining me on this adventure every week. I love it. I hope you do too. Let me know what you're looking at to purchase, what books you're liking in the comments. And until next time, happy adventuring.